Okay, please tell which method would be used to solve the quadratic equation. Get this crap out of here. Okay. Alright, again, I told you list what you had for variables. You have x to the second, you have x, so then there's two types of x. You're using factoring properties. That's all you write. Okay. You have x second only. That is linear properties, followed by a square root. Okay, you don't have to solve it, just write it. Okay, this time you have x plus 7 to the second power. That is when you use the h. That's all you have to know. Okay, you have x second and x. You are using factoring properties. Okay, you have x second only. You are using linear properties. It's either factoring properties, linear properties, or the h. Linear properties, and then put comma square root. Okay, now you have x in a parentheses with a minus 4 to the second. That would be the h. Okay, now you're actually going to put that into action here. Okay, 3x second minus 6 equals 39. Okay. Don't worry about this check before solving, okay? You have x second only. So that is linear properties. You can just put LP comma square root. So there's two answers. Linear properties, make that. You got multiplication by 3, x is to the second, minus 6. Well, you got to take out your minus 6 first. You would plus 6. That would take us to 45. Then you take out your times 3 with divide by 3, and that would take you to 15. Now you take out the second power with the square root, and you write x equals positive or negative. Now 15, the square root of 15 is your rational. So I, R, R. And you can't go second PRB because all that's going to do is give you the same thing. So you put divided by and make two square roots. So 15 divided by, I'd start with 9 decimal. 4 is a decimal. Well, you can divide it by 1 and 15. So you divide by 1, you got a result of 15. Well, the square root of 1 is equal to 1. But what did I tell you if you have a multiplier of 1? You don't put it, and you just put the square root of 15. Okay? So it'd be the square root of 15, and then the square root of 15 negative. Now, if that doesn't turn into a 1, then you put it right in front, but it did. Okay, 3x to the second power minus 18x minus 81 equals 0. Now we have x second, we have x. This is factoring properties. You can write FP if you want. Now put how many answers? There's 2. Now remember, factoring properties, you have to make sure you're equal to 0. You are, okay? Now you count how many terms you have. That's 3. So it'd be GCF, 3 terms. If I see 3 terms, I'm going GCF, then the table. Okay, X on the end, no. Negative in front, no. 3, 18, and 81. So here's 3, and 18's in that row, then it runs out of room. So if you just take that 81 and put divide by 3, if it's not a decimal, then 3 is going to be the GCF. It ain't a decimal, it's 27, so don't cross it out, okay? 3 is your great, circle that. So if you divide but not get a decimal, that means 81 would be in 3's row if it was higher. Okay, so 3 is a GCF. See, take 3 divided by 3, 18 divides by 3, 81 divides by 3. All those divide by 3. So we're dividing by 3. That's 1. Remember, you're not dividing by x, putting an x down there, so it stays x to the second. and 6x, and then negative 27. Now you factor your 3 over here. Out, and now A is 1x second, B is negative 6x, C is negative 27. And the A is 1x to the second. It is not 3 anymore, it is now 1. 1 times negative 27 is negative 27. Okay, so it's got to be a mismatch. Factors have to mismatch, and we have to add to negative 6. 1 and 27, that's negative 26. 2 is a decimal. 3 and 9. 3, 9. That adds to negative 6. You found it. So you put in your positive 3, your negative 9. Remember, x second goes x times x. And your leading coefficient is going to be just a 1. Okay, so 1 and 3 are only in row 1, so that'll just stay the same. You can't, it's already in simplest form. Same with that one, it'd just be 1. You would divide it by 1, but it means it just stays the same. So it's already in simplest form. Take the 1s off the front of the x's and you put x plus 3, x minus 9. Now since we have to solve the equation, we put equals 0. Now this is completely useless because it doesn't have an x. Okay, I mean I have it there in case it did have an x with it, but it doesn't. So I just go x plus 3 equals 0. X minus 9 equals 0. So I subtract 3 and I get negative 3. Then I add 9 and I get 9. So those are the 3 answers. That's all you needed to find. Negative 3 and 9. Okay, next problem. Now we have an x plus 3 to the second power, so we know we're using the h. There's still 2 answers. Okay. Alright, so I think we're going to replace this parentheses with h. Remember, you have to bring back the x plus 3 to find your x solutions. You're just writing a simpler equation than what is there originally. So 3 times h to the power of 2 minus 7 equals 101. So we're still applying linear properties because we have h second only. So you take out your minus 7 with plus 7, that's 108. Then you divide by 3, and that's 36. Okay, so remember, square root could be the positive or the negative. It's not. This one's not going to be irrational because the square root of 36 is 6. So I put 6. I do not waste time with that IRR and then the and then the dividing. No, we don't put that there. We come up here, just about. So minus 3, x would be 3. Minus 3, x would equal negative 9. Okay, next problem, 4x to the second power minus 3 equals 2 plus 1x. Okay, so if you look through that equation, you have x second and x, so now you're back to using the factoring properties. Now, if you're applying factoring properties, before you know what boxes to draw, you need a 0 there. So I'd minus 2, and that would go with that negative 3 there. And then I'd minus 1x, and I would just hang that because it doesn't go with anything. So we have the x second, the x, and the constant. So x second's 4, x would be the negative 1. It's minus 1, it's a negative value. Now it's not 1, it's negative 3 minus 2. Negative 3 minus 2 is negative 5, not 1. Now you're good to go. You have 3 terms, so now it's GCF table. Okay, so there's no x on the end, there's no negative in front, 4, 1, and 5. That's 1. 4 times negative 5 is negative 20. So that's a mismatch. It's got to add to negative 1. 20 divided by 1 is 20. That's negative 19. 20 divided by 2 is 10. So that's negative 8. 20 divided by 3 is a decimal, so we would skip that. 20 divided by 4 is 5. And there's your negative 1 right there. Put what the dang A is. It's 4x squared. So it can't be 1x, okay? So I know I'm going x. No, you're not going 2. It's not. You're not dealing with perfect squares. Okay, it's not that. It's not. We're not. Perfect squares has nothing to do with 3 terms. Okay, you place a 4 in front, and then simplify. These are identical numbers, so you divide by 4. It'd be 1x plus 1. Take the 1 off, or no, keep the 1 there for now, because I want to show you something. Those would just be divided by 1. They'd just be in 1's row. Now, multiply, in your head, multiply the numbers in front of the x. 1 times 4 is 4. Boom. 1 times negative 5 is negative 5. Boom. That should always be the case. Now you can take the 1 off the front. So it's x plus 1 times 4x minus 5 equals 0. Okay, so x plus 1 could equal 0. 4x minus 5 could equal 0. X would equal negative 1, because there's 2 answers. Then you have to divide by 4. You add the 5 first. Okay, 5 divided by 4 is 1.25. You can write 1.25, or you can divide 5 by 4 and go second PRB, 1 and 1/4. You could also just leave it 5 over 4. Doesn't matter to me. Okay, last problem. 2x to the second power equals 8x. Doesn't look like much, but we have x second and x. We are using factoring properties. Okay, so there's 2 answers. For your factor, you need this 0. So minus 8x, that cannot, this is multiplied by x second, so we can't minus 8. That's multiplied by x from that. You hang it. And I don't need a constant, it's just equal to 0. So you got 2 and negative 8. I mean, there's no constants, x second and x, and then the 0. There is no constant. Okay, so 2 terms. Now it's 2, it's a binomial. So I would see if I would check I need my GCF, and then I will see if I have a difference of perfect squares. Okay, we do have x on the last term. Factor that out. You don't have a negative in the front. 2 and 8's 2. Okay, both divisible by 2. Highest number, you can divide them each by without getting a remainder or decimal. Okay, so we're going to divide by 2x. 2 divided by 2 is 1. Now this time I am putting an x down there, so I need to divide x second by x, giving me a remainder of x. Negative 8 divided by 2 is negative 4. And then x divided by itself is a wipeout. Okay. Now, remember how to do this. You bring your GCF over here. It has x in it, so I'll use it. But then out. Now, as this adopts a second parentheses, well, it's got a minus. You can take the 1 off the front of the x. You don't need to go 1 times 1. You can if you want. Well, it doesn't even matter because x is not to the second power, so it is not x times x because it already starts as just x, so it can't do that. So you write no, and you will be bringing that parentheses of x minus 4 over to join the 2x, and then equals 0. So F1, F2. So divide by 2 and you get 0. Over here you plus 4 and you get 4.